Okay, so you are now getting like your first look at the Litchfield base. So this is kind of like a very small kind of rundown airfield you're looking at here. And your ragtag first set of crew will all have kind of randomly defined features and different body types. Other than that, it's pretty much kind of a wilderness in here. You have a ton of room that you can expand on. There's a lot of resources that you can harvest. This is kind of your starter supply that the HQ has given you and that you need to work with. But I'm gonna grab Thomas here and actually tell him that he should harvest down some wood. Now you don't need to individually click everything to harvest it. There's like tools down here for harvest and destruction that you can use to more easily drag over bigger fields. So we built like a small incentive here for people who are bothered by stuff that is incomplete, like me. However, I mean, it's soonish turning past 11, and at 11 everybody will go and sleep somewhere. You can see the 3 core stats, confidence, vitality and mood here in the details of a person. Now, maybe we're still gonna work on the naming a bit, but confidence basically is their confidence in the war. It is shaped by the good and bad news of the war, but also the successful missions that your base will do, or the failures in missions. Vitality is basically their energy, so this, as you can see now, is increasing as they're sleeping now. And it's also increasing with food, but it's getting used up as they're working. So looking at the timetable here, at 11 o'clock it's sleep time, and they're gonna sleep till 6 o'clock, and then from 6 to 11 it's pretty much working all the way through. And I could give them a bit of a break that would give them more energy, you know. So let's say from 12 to 2, they're gonna have some time for leisure time. And that means they're gonna chat around, they're gonna chill on the chairs. Eventually, once we build them in, they're gonna use some stuff like darts or billiards or stuff like that. But you also need to build that on your base, of course, first. So let's go into the build menu and let's go to the floors. And the first thing I want to do is complete the floor that we have here. Oops, I'm still at 3 times speed. So I want to make sure that there's like an even tarp floor over the whole thing. It is not required. It will at some point have influence on how fast stuff will degrade, and certain workbenches you can only build on certain floors. And then basically, if I'm going to the walls, I can then drag walls to build them, either like in full rectangles or just in single segments. In this case, I actually would like to use this as a tent where stuff is stored at some point. So I'm gonna build some doors here that like our guys who are currently pretty stupid when it comes to the nav mesh actually can more easily get in and out. So you can see like them grabbing like the tarp that they need here from the piles and bringing it in as they're all working on it. If I'm going to the workbenches here, you can see a ton of workbenches that you can already have in the game. So just the field kitchen, the indoor kitchen, the saw station, the brick station, the cement mixer, the metalworks workbench, the canning station, the electronics workbench, tailor station, the espionage radio, the water cooker, the herb dryer, and the distillery. Now all of these have like their very own recipes that they can do. So the distillery, for example, is used to create luxury goods, alcohol pretty much, but you can also make medicine out of it. The most basic ones that you will need is, so if you go to the schedule again and the task assignment, you can see our 8 guys here, and there's like 6 groups of tasks that are available. So there's the medicine task, which currently in the alpha does not do anything because people can't get sick and you don't need to treat for them. But this would be the task like rescuing people, taking care of fires, tending to people, and it generally has the highest priority in the list. Then the next one is building, which is pretty much building anything from workstations to what the guys are currently doing. Then there's cooking, which will be like using all the different cooking stations and crafting and repairs, which basically is also using workbenches, but not the cooking workbenches. Then there's the gardening, which is basically also harvesting resources and all of that. And then there's the general labor task, which is just hauling stuff from A to B. Now, you can definitely make sure that some people only do certain things. So for example, if I would like to have like a dedicated crafting guy, like for example, let's take Owen, then I can just tell him that Owen is currently only allowed to cook or use workbenches. So what I can do now, and you might also notice from going medieval, is I can create storage areas. I can pretty much make a zone and then say what should be stored in this zone. Now in this case, we actually only want like basic goods in there. So for example, wood, clay, sandbags, raw food, raw water, and herbs. So all the stuff from the field, people should now bring into this zone so that it's in some nice space. So for example, these mushrooms that are laying around here, people who have time for hauling will now haul all of these into this zone here. So I can create kind of a storage tent here. This is especially helpful now if I take Ian, for example, and tell him he should start to harvest the water here because I'm going to need that soon. And Willem should, again, get some mushrooms from here. So all of that stuff will, by the others, then be consolidated into these storage areas here. I want to make everybody aware that there's still stuff going on that probably shouldn't be going on. As you can see here, for example, this wall was never destroyed, and here's a wall that never was built, and also people piled some stuff outside of their zones. So, I mean, this is very much an alpha build that we're testing here. We're kind of fixing stuff like this on a daily basis. But that is kind of the charm of it as well. So people who will be with us in the alpha, I mean, you're going to be very integral to kind of help us make this a better game. Not only through suggestions, even though suggestions are very much appreciated, but also through your feedback, you know, because there's just more eyes on it. Now to actually facilitate that, we have already built a tool, which, by the way, I just want to say our graphics artist still wants to make a rework of it. But basically, we will have a reporting feedback tool in there that can allow you to send us a screenshot and some basic data, if you allow us to have it, like about your PC, like what kind of PC you're running, and then a feedback field, and whether this is something bad or something good. With what's happening here. So if you're saying like this is good, I could be like, oh my god, let's go suggestion. I want a more badass runway. This is amazing. Now the other thing, of course, like this wouldn't be a base builder without having an airstrip. So our main goal kind of at the beginning of the game, and what also will be the main goal of the alpha, is get your airbase going by defining an airstrip. So you start by basically having a basic space for your airstrip, and if you're done select it, you can see what your airstrip will need. In this case, we can see that it should be made out of grass. It should have a width of at least 12 meters and a length of at least 80 meters. And if I grab the edges now, you can see that I can change the airstrip size and basically define where it's supposed to be. Now there's this rock in the way, so this will also need to go before I can order some planes. But let's continue to expand this until it is at exactly 80 meters. So now it still needs to be transformed into the grass type. You can see the progress bar here is at only the beginning of all of that. But when it comes to length and width, this could be a nice place to have our first airstrip going. So now for our runway to work, we also need to designate a parking spot. Currently we're just indicating with these ropes here that this will be a place where a plane will be able to park pretty much. Okay, now let's go into airplane acquisition then. And let's try to get a Hawker Hurricane. Please have a look at the beautiful 3D preview that we're having there. 3D preview here, very nice. Johnny Knoxville will fly the plane in, hopefully. Plane has been requested, we have a parking spot. Everybody on the base is unimpressed, but... Yay! I should have built the parking spot on the other side. Ah, good enough. I mean, this looks historically accurate, I would say. But there you go, like this is like the first Hawker Hurricane to be stationed at this base. So from now on, we could actually get missions. We would be eligible with missions. We have a new pilot coming in. It's actually Henry O'Mara, called Cat Eyes. And yeah, as you can see, he's already starting to work as well. So he's hauling stuff around. That's nice.